with us talking about the downfall of physical media and game going down further, it seems like we don't really have many choices when it comes to buying physical games anymore. To which point, supporting independent local game shops makes a lot of sense. But I have questions about those because there is no local game shop near me, like independent one. My town at one point, I remember, did have what I think was an independent game store because I don't remember it being a chain, but I was probably too young to know. Somebody, because a lot of you guys that watch my channel are older than me, maybe you know that I don't, is Discs and Discs. We had a shop called Discs and Discs, and I remember I loved Discs and Discs because whoever worked there had a brain very similar to mine in that they loved everything being perfectly organised and just looking at it, because not a thing was ever out of place, no matter the time of day, no matter how busy it was in there. There would be stacks and stacks of games, spines down the wazoo, with the prices on the side of it, in alphabetical order, by platform, by genre, by franchise. And I was like, this is perfect. I loved that store, and I got so many games from that store because it was always way cheaper than anywhere else. But at some point during my teenage years, that shut down. I'm pretty sure that was an independent store. I loved it, and I miss it so much. So if you do have independent stores like that one near you, be sure to support them. But the question there is when we talk about the downfall of physical media, we're more so talking about like brand new stuff. So when we're ranting about game and pre-orders and things like that, I don't think that really does apply too much to independent stores because, again, I just might be wrong because I don't know, because there isn't a local one near me anymore. But do independent stores actually get brand new games? Because I cannot imagine that the profit margins on brand new games are exactly very good in the first place, because that is... When I worked at Tesco, I remember them talking about that being the reason why they stopped stocking as many games, because there just wasn't the return there, perhaps. So if you guys are watching this and you're somebody that frequents these independent stores and have them more local to you, in fact, I'm pretty sure some like independent shop owners follow me, do you stock new games, like brand new stuff? I don't know. I wonder what that process even is like. For companies like The Game Collection and Shop2 that I'm becoming familiar with now through my comments, how do they get new stuff? Like, do you have to apply to some sort of distributor to have them connect with you to send you them? Like, I don't know. It seems like it's a lot easier to get hold of the second-hand older stuff, in which case, cool. I don't think that we're at fear. I don't have any fears of us no longer being able to buy older stuff second-hand on the high street, due to the fact that I don't think CX is going anywhere anytime soon for a very long time, because I think they just keep making more money every year, especially as places like Games stop doing pre-orders and stuff like that. Honestly, the thing that I miss most of all is just simply having options. When I was younger, I feel like you couldn't go anywhere without like there being some amount of games. My mom would drag me to Morrison's because she needed to get a loaf of bread, but there would be a game section in there. I'd have to go clothes shopping with my sisters because I was too young to stay at home. My sisters are both in their 40s, so that's the thing. While they were doing that, I'd just wander off to the game section. Literally everywhere, every supermarket had a gaming section. Even if it was just a little turnstile with like some really old DVDs and a few games on the bottom, there was always something in everywhere you went. And now almost nowhere sells games, and that's what makes me the saddest. It kills my inner child, although he was killed very early on. Thanks, Dad. Like, can anybody else relate to this? Do you ever just like looking at games and DVDs in shops? Even if you're not buying, it's nice to just look at them and browse, you know? It's like when you're a kid and you'd like looking at the toy aisle, knowing full well your mom ain't buying you it because she can't afford it, but you'd look anyway because it was at least nice to look and it made you feel good. I don't know. I like that. Like, I worked at Tesco for a long time, right? And if I was in there off shift with whoever for any reason whatsoever, I'd go to the game aisle. I knew full well I wasn't buying anything, but I'd go to the game aisle, just beeline it straight there. I miss those days. So if you guys haven't already, if you could drop me a subscribe, that'd be awesome. We're trying to get to 100,000 at some point, because over there, I've got a spot for a silver play button. Anyway, next up, it's been a while since we've done like a Q&A to do with things that are not necessarily game related. So let's do one, shall we? Will I ever quit TikTok and just focus on YouTube alone? It's a difficult one. Because there is probably going to come a point, hopefully anyway, where YouTube is worth more of my effort than TikTok in terms of cost effectiveness. So for example, at the moment, right now, I earn about the same on both platforms, which is really cool because I've been doing TikTok for 4 years and it is a lot harder to make money on TikTok in terms of views. So for example, I did a video the other day where I compared, I had on YouTube and on TikTok, I earned, say in one day I made 50 quid on both places. I was then able to compare directly how many views I had to get on each place to make that money. To make 50 quid on TikTok, I had to get 281,000 views in that day. To make 50 quid on YouTube, I had to get 12,000 views. If I had 281,000 views on YouTube, that day I would have made £1,100. So, yeah. My long-term goal is to continue to grow the YouTubes, and so for example, this happened just the other day. We had a man from BT come around because there was like internet problems and we needed an upgrade and something like that. And he was talking to me about what I do, because generally if somebody walks into this room, they go, huh, what? And then we start talking. I tell people I make videos on the internet for a living, and then they typically ask me where, and at which point I usually need to say TikTok first because that's my largest platform. Because typically when people ask you, because they ask you where and then they ask you how many followers you've got. That is the order of events every single time. On TikTok, amongst my accounts, I've got 900,000 followers. So when I say 900,000 followers, most of the time in person, people go, fair enough then. Despite the fact that it's TikTok though, I always feel, is it a sense of shame? I don't know. I don't like saying I'm a TikToker. Like people have to ask about 4 questions before it gets to it's TikTok, you know? Whereas I'm a YouTuber, I wouldn't feel ashamed at that pretty rapidly because most people understand YouTube can be a job now. Like YouTube has been a job for some people for 20 years nearly. So it's like, yeah, right now I grind like all day, every day across all of my different platforms. Because when I got into this, when things started going well for me on social media, I knew it wasn't going to be forever because no one's has ever been forever. Not in terms of the scale at which it can be good, right? But if you're smart with your money, and I'm going to make a video about this on one of my on my social media and money account that I've got down below, Cayle Grows, one of my other YouTube channels, you can really set yourself up for life without much effort if you just understand the S&P 500. To round that up in a very, very, very simple way, in England, the most you can put in the S&P 500 per year is £20,000, right? If you have just, 5 really good years, and you max that 20 grand out for 5 years, bearing in mind, I'm about to enter my 5th year of social media already, you could then have £100,000 in the S&P 500. Say, for example, you start social media at 25, and you're able to put 20 grand away into the S&P 500 every year until you're 30, but then you fall off and you're not making as good money anymore. You don't have 20 grand a year to spare. But you have put £100,000 into the S&P 500, right? If you then never put another penny in again, you never invest any more money, assuming it returns about 10% per year, which over the last 50 years or so is the average. For 50 years, on average, the S&P 500 returned about 10%. That 100,000 that you put in when you were 30, in 20 years' time, hang on, I've got the calculator up on my phone, the investment calculator, will become £672,000 by the time you're 50, which will then be returning interest of, by the time you're 50, £61,000 per year. All because you were not stupid with your money for a few years in your 20s when you managed to see some success on social media. I talk about this because I know and have seen at this point so many people succeed on social media to the point where, trust me, that 20 grand a year that they would need to put into that is nothing to them. I know some lads that will make nearly 20 grand a year, 20 grand a month off just their sponsors because the amount of followers they have, and they're barely even 21, for example. So imagine this. There's some 20-year-olds that are making tens of thousands of pounds a month between all of their various different income sources because of how well they succeeded on social media. They are then, before they are 30, able to set themselves up for pretty much life right away. But history has shown us that 20-somethings are often very bad with decisions financially. They will put money on things and lose a lot of money on things. Does anybody remember X-Jaws from the Machinima Respawn days and his stories about how, yeah, he made a shed ton of money and then ended up without a shed ton of money because of it? Anyway, I've digressed a lot now. I need to go into more depth about this on the actual social media account rather than here. But the point is that when I got into this, I knew when I started succeeding that it wasn't going to be forever, but that it also didn't have to be forever as long as I was at least decently smart with the way that I did it, you know? I knew that I could set myself up pretty well as long as I wasn't stupid. But like I say, I've been at this now for nearly 5 years anyway, but YouTube is still new, and my YouTube is only a few months old and is already starting to compete with the amount that I'm making on TikTok. So like, the longevity side of YouTube is way more. Like, I know for a fact that I still follow some YouTubers that I was watching when I was a kid. So I've been watching them for 10 years. So I've been making these people money through watching them for 10 years. Whereas on TikTok, your lifespan as someone that is able to be on the top or make enough or make a lot, we'll say that. This is the thing about social media that a lot of people don't understand, is that you don't have to be on the top to make a lot of money. The people that are on the top make extreme amounts of money to the point you can barely comprehend it. The people that are in the middle just earn enough, you know? There is absolutely like levels to the social media income thing. But so the original question of will I ever quit TikTok and just do YouTube? I mean, maybe. If YouTube ever got to the point where it was making exponentially more than TikTok ever would, I'd probably definitely scale back TikTok for sure. Like right now, I've got all of the different accounts that I post across in the various different niches, and it's a lot to keep up with. Like genuinely, I don't stop. I'm always filming. I'm always thinking about what to do next. I was up until 5 o'clock in the morning yesterday, and it's not playing games all day like a lot of people think that it is. It's just not that easy. Like right now, for example, pay attention to my last 6 videos. Notice I look identical. And it's because they've all been recorded in one day. I try to upload twice a day, right? My 12 p.m. upload, my midday upload, so this upload is typically the one that I'm just sort of in here talking about whatever. It's my less, I don't know, my 12 o'clock upload I see as my just, hey guys, how are you? Let's have a chat sort of style video. It's my chilled video. My 6 p.m. upload is often my I'm out and about doing a thing or something more significant has happened upload. Anyway, right now, you guys are seeing this video on Saturday next week. Saturday 19th, I think. I'm recording this on Sunday 13th because grind and grind and grind and grind. That's what social media is. It is a grind. The more you grind, the more you get out. I've been making videos for like all day. And that's just for this account. I have 3 YouTube channels now, 5 TikToks, and an Instagram. If you want to succeed, if you want to do well, grind. But it's often a case of, like I said, if you're smart with the way that you earn your money and what you use your money on, work really, really, really hard now so that you can chill out much earlier in life than you otherwise would have done. And in my case, I don't think I'd have ever got to chill out in life if it wasn't for the fact that I do this. Because I grew up in a very poor house and I was earning £300 a month until I was like 23 or 22. The most my mother has told me she's ever earned in a month is 20k. She lives off her disability money because she can't afford... She drives a car that's ancient because she can't afford to replace it yet because she'd lose her disability money if she got a disability car. They keep changing the retirement age, so she keeps having to wait until a bit longer to get her pension. But even her pension is just going to be a state pension, which isn't a lot. And let's be real, there's a real decent chance that by the time I'm her age, that retirement age becomes like 70 plus, which is just insane. So like, you got to make something of yourself. You've got to do something yourself. I never thought for the majority of my adult years thus far that I was going to be capable of doing something. It wasn't until that like I took matters into my own hands and just did something with my life to make it happen, you know? Anyway, if this social media talk was motivational at all to anyone, in the comment section of this video, I'm going to link... There'll be there's 2 channels that are linked. One of them is my playthrough account. The other one is my like social media and money account, where this is primarily what I talk about because it's people that are interested in that. If you're interested in that sort of thing, head over there. Otherwise, I'll see you guys later.